Tic-tac, time to rock.
Tick-tock.
Now for all you whiners and crybabies who are complaining that I'm late, start acting like people who know what my life is like for 5 seconds. All right, let's get a sound check because I'm getting some weird readings on here. I'm going to turn mine down. It shows that I'm clipping even though I'm not that loud. Let me turn myself down here some. Why am I clipping? I'm trying to figure out why I'm clipping here.
Get out.
Oh, no wonder. I'm on the built-in microphone and not my, all right, let me switch to my Rode here.
Don't build a microphone.
That should be better. Check. All right, that's better. Now I can turn this up. Check. Keep that going.
Check.
All right, now let me get a check. All right, that's looking a little better. All right, I got the Rode mic on. That's better. All right, go ahead and talk, AP.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Check. Why do I look like this?
All right, how's that sound, everyone? How's that sound?
Very blurry.
Do we sound even? Yeah, you are blurry. You don't know how to focus?
I look very sharp on my screen. I don't know what's happening here. I think it has something to do with your software.
Blaming my software.
I look very...
I'm receiving a signal via Skype, sir. That signal is being sent to you by your computer.
I look very sharp here. Okay? I'm a very sharp person.
Oh, hey, you just got clearer for something. So you did something, I did nothing, and you got clearer. So
I didn't do anything.
Oh yeah, you did nothing. Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
And nothing created the universe. I'm saying that because someone is asking, "Is this the debate?" No, this is not a debate. If you guys watched our little debate teaser, we're going to do it. We understand that we're YouTubers, right? We understand that we're YouTubers, that we will spend a lot of time working on one video. So that's how we're going to do the debate. I will post a video that will serve as my opening statement. AP will then have a certain amount of time to post his video, which is his opening statement. I will then have a certain amount of time to post a video that serves as my rebuttal. And so the debate might actually end up taking like 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. But at the end of it, we have a very, very thoroughly well-crafted debate. Does that sound about right? What do you think, AP?
That sounds right. In the end, David will say, "Okay, I cannot do this anymore. I am completely destroyed." And he will of course make a video waving a white flag.
At the end of it, AP will say, "Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ, for sending all these awesome Christians into my life and showing me how dumb atheism is."
Yeah. That's about it.
Hey, look at this. Diva Girl Love here says, we haven't even gotten started, but Diva Girl Love, she's one of our favorite Muslims who comes on and is used by the Almighty to expose how silly Islam is. But Diva Girl Love says, AP doesn't believe in God. Why bring him in a religious discussion? Well, if you're talking about this discussion, right now, we're talking about a kind of a political issue and an issue that involves Islam. But he's certainly relevant to the topic we're discussing. Just so everyone knows, we're going to be talking about Mayor Sadiq Khan and his claim that that misogyny should be criminalized, and how these guys, because AP, if you notice this, you have this weird alliance between Muslims and leftists. Islam and the left, and you end up with this hybrid that doesn't realize that it's kind of a walking contradiction. And so you have Muslims who will say things that would agree with their political views, but it makes no sense from their religious perspective. And if they were consistent for even a second, they would shatter their religious views.
Absolutely. We also have to talk about what Sadiq Khan actually, I don't know in what regard he's actually a Muslim, what makes him a Muslim, how we conveniently use that term, what he actually stands for, what his alliances are. There is so much to say about this. I don't know. But one thing certainly is that it is a very Islamophobic thing to say that misogyny should be considered a hate crime. That's absolutely Islamophobic. That disadvantages the Muslim community and Islam.
One of us needs to make a video. Mayor Sadiq Khan is an Islamophobe, and then put him up there with Islamophobe written across it, and then people have to click on it. Why? And say, okay, because he condemned misogyny, and that makes him an Islamophobe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you don't do it, I'm doing it. So just be forewarned.
I would like to join in that. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Diva Girl Love, one, Islam calls for the violent subjugation of the entire world. Calls for the violent subjugation of Christians, Jews, atheists, Hindus, agnostics, Buddhists, any Muslim group that you don't regard as orthodox enough, calls for the violent subjugation of us all. So any discussion about Islam is relevant to all people from all those backgrounds. So kind of silly to ask why AP would be involved in a religious discussion like this. What do you think, AP?
I agree. I think it doesn't even matter what my background is or what my beliefs are for us to have this discussion. It's completely irrelevant. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter at all. We're having a discussion about something that we obviously agree on, and we can have this discussion no matter where we stand. And if we could, of course, I understand that from a Muslim perspective, it doesn't really make sense, because from a Muslim perspective, you just cannot have conversations with people who are different than from you. You cannot have these conversations about specific ideas or beliefs if you believe in something else. Then if two people believe in two different things. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, you get the point. In Islam, that's not possible, but gladly we both don't belong to Islam, which is why we can gladly come together and have these conversations. I would love to have these conversations together with Muslims too. I would love to sit together with Muslims and have conversations with them about Sadiq Khan and about women's rights and Muhammad's behavior toward women and all that stuff. But the problem is that in such a discussion, I'm usually the one who who should be who is the target of the other one who wants to kill someone. So it doesn't really work.
Yeah,
it doesn't really work.
Tatiana J said, "When is your big debate?" Sorry, I missed it. Well, yeah, we didn't actually set a specific day, Tatiana. We said once we've reached these 2 milestones, and they're both close. They both look like they're maybe a couple weeks away or something like that. But AP's about to cross 200,000 subscribers, and I'm about to cross the 100 million view milestone. So as soon as we cross those, we're basically gonna formalize everything and say, okay, here's the schedule of when we're going to be releasing things and so on. All right.
That will be soon.
Yeah. So unless something weird happens and everyone just suddenly unsubscribes, or I guess you can't affect if everyone stopped watching right now, then my views would be affected. I don't think I can lose views, but AP could lose subscribers if he just completely embarrassed himself during this live stream for some reason.
Why would I do that?
But everyone, notice you can accelerate the process. If you wanted to binge watch a bunch of my videos tonight, and then and everyone who's not subscribed to AP wanted to rush out and subscribe, hey, what is this? Carl said David's mic sounds cheap and the Apostate Prophet sounds good. What am I doing wrong here? This is a Rode mic. I looked this up specifically to be top of the line.
Rode mic?
Yeah, it's Rode.
I want to get one too.
Hey, just to prove it, so no one thinks I'm using some crap here. What? Look at that. Look at that. Right.
Those are very good mics.
I was just talking with my friend John McCrae, and I was like, we just need to buckle down and go to school for all this stuff, film, videography, lighting, all that stuff, and become really, really awesome at it.
Someone said, someone keeps saying in the comment section, keeps saying in the comment section, why is AP biased to one religion? What about other religions?
As far as I can tell, you don't have a problem with much of any religions except one, right? That's what I've gathered.
I mean, the thing is, it totally depends on your definition of problem, not of religion. I don't have a problem with religion itself. I believe that religion plays a role. Of course, I have no problem with religion for different reasons then why religious people don't have a problem with religion, of course. Just as religious people tolerate me or respect me as a non-religious person for different reasons than I respect myself as a non-religious person, if that makes sense. But I just don't consider religion a bad thing. I don't believe in it. I don't propagate it. I don't agree with it. But I don't generally consider it a bad thing, because I don't see that in the world it vastly manifests itself as a bad thing that harms people, that harms large groups of people. Most Christianity doesn't do any harm to anybody. Most Hinduism doesn't do any harm to anybody. Most Buddhism and all the other religions don't do any harm to anybody. They are, I consider them part of our human existence, of our human progress, human history and development, especially in regards to morality, something that humans built on, which is something that I want to debate with you soon. And there is no point for me to be an anti-theist, because for me, religion is just part of society. If society changes slowly and religion goes away, then it will go away. If it doesn't go away, then it doesn't go away. I don't really care. I don't think it's something that anyone should be so strictly hostile against. But unless if I were a doomsday anti-theist who wants to go out there and says, oh, religion destroys all of us, religion is killing us, all our problems are because of religion. And that is, of course, a bunch of crap. That's a bunch of nonsense. If I was like that, I would go out there and fight all religions. But I'm not like that. I'm more realistic, which is why I don't have a problem with religion. I have a problem with Islam, however, because Islam has been Islam is a savage culture. Islam is a barbaric religion, and is directly responsible for not only for holding human civilizations back and keeping them underdeveloped in cave standards, but also it poisons the minds of people. It makes women suffer. It turns women into second-class citizens. It endangers the progress of civilizations. It endangers so many people simply for their identity, for their beliefs, for existing. And of course, I will have a bias against Islam. Why would I not? I'm also an ex-Muslim. I lived it myself. It is a terrible religion. It's a barbaric, stupid religion, and I will always use my existence, use my power, use my knowledge, use my all my means, my channels to criticize it and to tell people to stop believing in it and not to convert to it. So I am completely biased, and I am biased for a reason, and I will be biased.
And I would say, since you're under a death penalty, you're not under one death penalty, you're under multiple death penalties from that one religion, right? You're under death penalty for mocking Muhammad. You're under a death penalty for leaving Islam. So you're under all kinds of death penalties. So, guys, I have to say, if anyone on the planet has a right to talk about Islam, it's ex-Muslims. It's ex-Muslims, especially ex-Muslims who insist on their right to criticize Muhammad. These guys are under multiple death penalties from their religion. When you say, hey, they shouldn't talk about that, you're basically saying, if as this religion grows and people become more and more radical, the chances of you getting executed by it increase, but shut up about it. And that is all kinds of messed up in my book. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, imagine I have a death sentence by default for leaving this religion, and someone comes and asks me why I am biased against Islam.
Yeah, what the heck is wrong with you, man? You're so biased against this religion that calls for your head to be chopped off. Yeah. What's wrong with you, man?
I don't know.
Shame on you.
I'm very problematic.
Islamophobic bigot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to, I wanted to sort of reiterate something that AP was talking about right there, right? You can, of course, point to various ideologies and say, oh, look at this bad thing that's been, done by that religion, by adherents of that religion and so on. That's true of atheism too, right? You can point, look at communist Russia and all the people that were killed and stuff like that. You can say, look at Christianity and the Crusades and the wars in Europe and, look at, Hindus fighting Muslims, Muslims fighting Hindus, Christians coming over there, conquering things. You can point to all these things. If you go that route, you also have to look at, positive contributions by those ideologies and so on. And if you were an atheist and you took atheism seriously, right? If you take atheism seriously and nothing really happens after we die, right? Then you'd want to say, oh, you know, what really matters is, you know, we should get along here and, you know, make life as comfortable as possible and do the best we can. But there's nothing, you know, there's nothing really down the road past death for us. Then, you know, you wouldn't care about what people believe necessarily in the same way that a Christian does or that a Muslim does, where, you know, these things have eternal consequences. You would be thinking more in terms of, you know, hey, you know, let's all just, you know, be tolerant and not kill each other and stuff. And other than that, I'm fine. But you know, if you went to the 20th century, that was kind of the general view of atheists, right? That was the general view of atheists. Hey, you know, hey, religion makes you happy. Go ahead, be as religious as you want. I don't care. Just don't come and kill me over it. Don't try to force me into it. You know, stuff like that. Some atheists at some point realized that's not the sort of thing that revs people up enough to become really evangelistic with their atheism. So if you really want to fire people up and get them preaching atheism from the rooftops, you have to convince them all that religion's about to destroy us all. It's going to kill us all. They're going to end science. They're going to ruin everything. And if we don't stop them, they're going to take over politically, and they're going to murder all of us atheists and stuff. And they started going that route, and that got people fired up. And then you ended up with a different kind of atheist. And we see that on the internet, right? You will have atheists watching this live stream who love AP and they love me, right? But then you will have others, no, I can't believe that. I can't believe it. That AP is sitting beside this David Wood guy. It's driving me crazy. Doesn't he know this guy's religious and we have to destroy all religion? Dude, you bought into a lie. But here's the thing. What happens when a religion is a legitimate threat to the entire world? As when we know that a religion is growing and expanding rapidly and is set to become the dominant religion on the entire planet unless something changes. And it calls for the violent subjugation of the entire world and the oppression of women and the subjugation of all non-adherents and so on. Well, there you have to say, okay, this isn't simply a situation of, hey, if it makes you feel okay, then everything's fine. I don't really care. You have to be, as an atheist, you have to be saying, no, I need to say something about that. So even if you were just an atheist in general, you realize you're in trouble if that ideology continues to grow. If you're an atheist and an ex-Muslim, that's multiple concerns. If you're an atheist and an ex-Muslim and you talk trash about Muhammad, wow, you better hope you win that discussion. Because if you lose this big discussion, then it's your life on the line. And that's the only life you got if you're an atheist, right?
Yep, I would say if you are an atheist and you act against religion because you consider religion harmful, and you consider yourself an anti-theist or an anti-religion activist, whatever you want to call it, and you don't especially despise Islam out of all religions, then there is something wrong with you. Then you are either ignorant of religions altogether, or you are just intellectually dishonest. It is the most normal thing to do if you are an atheist and if you speak of the harmful sides of religion, to especially be against Islam, because it is just so far apart from all the other religions. All the other religions are, they have, people talk about the obstacles of Christianity and of Hinduism and of this and that. With Islam, we're not talking about little obstacles. We're talking about an existential threat. We're talking about it being illegal to say anything about Islam at all. We're talking about the death penalty for apostasy, about women being turned into second-class citizens who cannot ever ask for anything other than that at all. People are talking about death penalties for women's rights activists, and all that stuff. People are complaining about LGBT rights in the West, for example, and then they're thinking, well, Islam and Christianity are just as bad. I'm sorry, if you're talking about LGBT rights in connection with Christianity, and then you don't have a problem with Islam, or you think Islam is equal to Christianity, then you have no idea what's going on in the world, and you have no idea what has been happening in history. Mm-hmm. You should especially have a problem with Islam, and you should focus on Islam. Do something about it.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. That brings us kind of back to what we're here to discuss tonight is that you have this weird ability of people to have politically leftist views in part of their mind, and Islam in part of their mind, and never the twain shall meet for some reason, right? They don't notice the contradictions involved. And an example of this was, I don't remember if this was last year or the year before, but I posted a video. It was where Keith Ellison, who was a congressman in the U.S., an attorney general, I think he was the first Muslim congressman in the U.S., but he sent a government letter to Amazon insisting that they remove all these products that promote hate. And I'm just sitting there thinking, gosh, does it ever occur to you what would happen if they applied your rule consistently? In other words, if they said, okay, fine, any product that says something negative about another group, we have to stop selling it. What's the first product that would have to go? What's the first product that would have to go? I don't know. Maybe the product that calls Jews and Christians the worst of creatures, Surah 98, verse 6 of the Quran. But it never enters the mind. It's like, oh, that says something about that group. Oh, that paints a negative picture of that group. The Quran, no, it's in its own category. It gets to say whatever it wants. And if it says that Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures, well, so what?
It's just the Quran. It can say whatever it wants.
It's just the Quran. And so now we have another example. Let me go ahead. I believe I have the technology to pull this up on my screen. Anything you want to... Oh, wait, hang on. I had this one comment I wanted to address real quick. G. Will said, when is your debate with Matt Dillahunty? You heard of Matt?
Your debate with Matt Dillahunty?
Yeah, you heard of Matt Dillahunty?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so, I was heading down to Texas this coming... Not tomorrow, but this next Sunday. I was going down to debate a Christian pastor who challenged me on my approach to Islam. He doesn't even believe that you should criticize or correct opposing ideologies. All you should be able to do is present a positive case for the gospel. I thought that would actually be much too easy. So did the moderator. So we're like, you want to make it a little easier on yourself and say, hey, can we mock? Should Christians be able to mock and criticize unbelievers and their beliefs and stuff like that to make it a little more? The moderators, he wanted to just like, are David Wood's methods okay for Christians or something like that? So anyway, I'm heading down there Sunday for that debate in Austin, but that's where Matt Dillahunty lives, and that's where you have the Atheist Society of Austin. So the moderator said, this is very recently. He said, hey, could you want to debate Matt Dillahunty while you're down here? And I go, well, I'm pretty much traveling almost the entire time before that debate. The only thing I could possibly be ready for is a debate on something to do with, God and atheism and morality, because I'm going to be debating the Apostate Prophet on that. And so he said, cool, we'll set up something along those lines. So it's going to be something with secular humanism and God. So anyway, the plus side is you'll get to see a preview of my views before I ever give them an hour more thorough and more detailed debate. So we're going to have like a live streamed. I'm going to have like a live stream debate with Dillahunty.
That's nice. That is interesting.
Yeah. So you'll get a preview, which is cool because that means I have to figure out. I kind of have my views in my head, but as far as formulating them in argument form, I have to figure that out by next weekend. But yeah,
I think I'll meet him later this year. Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah. So in other words, people have to formulate their positions as an argument, like William Lane Craig formulates his. If God does not exist, then objective moral values and duties do not exist. Premise 2, objective moral values and duties do exist. Conclusion, therefore, God exists, and so on. I'm probably not going to formulate mine like that. I think in more kind of Bayesian terms, but the question is, how do you put a Bayesian argument in a format that's easy to understand? Because with Bayesianism, you start talking about intrinsic probability, prior probabilities, and the evidence, and the antecedent probability. I mean, you're talking about all these things, and so on. Posterior probability and so on, and the likelihood principle and things, and kind of don't want it to be complicated. So I'll have to formulate that by then. But what's cool is, again, AP, you'll be able to see where I'm going with my reasoning ahead of time.
You also have to be. You should be a little bit soft with me. I mean, you have a philosophy PhD, right? I don't have anything on philosophy at all, so. Just so you know in advance what you're dealing with.
Go. Are you serious? I take you more seriously than I would take the vast majority of the last debate I had with an atheist. I didn't prepare at all because he was going out. It was like his first debate. I'm like, I'm not going to prepare for someone, and this is his first debate. Like even if I could crush him, what's the point of crushing a guy? It's his first debate, right?
Yeah.
You know, if I don't prepare much and he does well, great. Then he'll keep debating and stuff. If you want to crush him later, you crush him later or something.
Yeah.
But you, no, you. I know you make good videos and stuff, and so anyway, we're gonna. Michelle Marie said in the super chat, David, you would totally crush Matt Dillahunty. He is the worst debater I've ever heard. I've heard he's actually a good debater. Have you watched his debates?
I haven't ever watched. I don't like debates. I don't like watching debates. I haven't watched his debates. No.
I
just watched a brief debate that he had with Jordan Peterson. I watched like 5 minutes of it. I couldn't take it. I don't know.
Guys, what do you think of Matt Dillahunty? I've heard a lot of people say. Matter of fact, I just heard someone. A YouTuber friend of mine said he believes Matt Dillahunty is the best atheist debater.
You know who the best atheist debater was? He's dead. That was Christopher Hitchens.
Really? You're a Hitchens guy?
Yeah, I think it's not a Hitchens guy. I think he was the best in witty, in responding to arguments and in formulating arguments and in shocking his opponent. Mm-hmm. Rather, I think, for example, Sam Harris is I think very a good intellectual, but when it comes to debates, he's just very predictable. I think. But Christopher Hitchens, I think he was amazing. I really admire that guy.
Well, he had a way with words.
Yeah,
he had a way with words, and that always helps. My one of my favorite was most people. He never became really popular, but his name was Keith Parsons. But Keith Parsons was like this big, jolly philosopher, and he'd be debating and he'd be making philosophical points, but he also sort of came across like like a Southern Baptist preacher at points. But he's doing it while bashing Christianity, like his debate with William Lane Craig. I watched that debate with a bunch of Christians, and all of them said after the opening statements, I said who's winning after the opening statements? They all said Keith Parsons is winning here. At the end, Craig regained his ground, and I think won by the end. But the opening statements, Parsons would make his point, and he would go, "I cannot believe and such a monster!" Right? And he's in church at a pulpit and acting like he's sort of like preaching, right? But he's a philosopher, and he's talking, he's giving philosophical arguments against the existence of God, but doing it like preacher. So anyway, I thought that guy was hilarious.
I just feel like very, very, very often in debates, these people, especially these big people, seem very condescending in their debates, and I just cannot watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, for example, don't have that. I saw your debates, and you stay very humble during your debate. You make your points. You don't act over the top and all that. But when I watch some of these people, especially these very well-known, popular people, it's crazy what I'm watching, like how they speak, how they present their arguments, very condescending, very arrogant, and I can't do that to myself. So I just turn it off, and I can't listen to that stuff.
Yeah, well, it's sort of an issue of if you're stepping on stage to defend your views, I have a level of respect for you, even if I disagree with you and I think your views suck. I have a level of respect for you if you're stepping up on the stage. So yeah, I'm never going to be too condescending there. All right, should we go ahead and jump into this article real quick?
Oh yeah, we should have done that.
All right, and again, I believe I have the technology here. Stuff always goes right when I try it beforehand, and then when I actually am doing it live, then stuff gets weird. But let's see what happens. And I have problems with this website, The Independent. It always puts up ads over the text, which is about as annoying as anything could possibly be. But let's see what happens here. All right. Look, see, it's doing it right now. As soon as I clicked on it, it's putting ads over the text. We can that is stupid, ridiculous site. Now on the plus side, though, they will go away after a minute. So let's see. I can kind of read that. Oh, there we go. No, now put a different note. Sadiq Khan. Oh my goodness, man. All right, I'm just going to scroll down. Heck with the title. Heck with all that.
Should have taken a screenshot.
Yeah. All right, just going to go down here. And we're gonna look we gotta look through their ads because this is the Independent. If any of you work for the Independent, tell them how much their stuff sucks. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has issued a call for misogyny to be recognized as a hate crime. The mayor said that female gender should be included in the list of protected characteristics treated as aggravating circumstances, which currently includes disability, race, religion, sexual orientation, or transgender identity. Now, I have to say I'm a little confused by some of the wording and stuff here, because when you talk about making misogyny illegal or making misogyny a crime or something like that, that's a different issue from putting it, from putting it in the category with these other things. In other words, if you're driving down the street and you throw a bottle at someone, if you throw a bottle at let's say, you throw a bottle at a person of a different race or something like that, and you hit the person, that's a crime. That's some sort of assault or battery or something like that. But if you do that and you yell, "Hey," and then some racial epithet, the hate crime law says, well, that's an additional, that makes it a bigger crime because you were doing it from some sort of motive. So if this were simply, adding, if you attack someone specifically for being a woman, right, then the crime sort of raises a level, right? Like if you were going to walk up and just punch a random person, that would be a crime. But if you did it specifically because someone's a woman and you said, "I hate all women," while you do it, and you punch her, then that would be, a higher level crime. That's one thing. But the way Sadiq Khan is saying it, it sounds like he's confusing these two things. On the one hand, he's saying, yes, we need to put it in the same category with disability and race and religion and so on. On the other hand, it just sounds like he's calling for misogyny to be criminalized. In other words, if you have a bad view of women, you're in trouble for it. Let me go ahead and read a little more of this. We'll see what's going on. Mr. Khan, who is fighting for re-election to City Hall in the 7th May election, said he would also back moves to end a two-tier hierarchy of hate crimes, which sees incidents aggravated by racial or religious hatred prosecuted more harshly than those based on sexual orientation. He's speaking for a women's group. Speaking ahead of a Women of the World mayoral debate, Mr. Khan said, "The safety of all Londoners is my first priority. And as a proud feminist," he's a proud feminist just like Muhammad, I find it simply unacceptable that any woman or girl in our city should experience these devastating crimes. I want all women to feel safe in London, whether they are going to work or enjoying the culture and entertainment that London has to offer. It is time for every Londoner to call out sexist and misogynistic attitudes wherever they encounter them, in the workplace, at school, on the streets, or on public transport. And this is why I said I'm a little confused at the way he's pointing things, right? If you're saying, hey, if someone is, assaulting someone and does it for a specifically, let's say anti-gay or, anti some race or anti-certain religious motive, then it's a different sort of crime. And you're saying, hey, if people attack women for that reason as well, then that should be a crime. I mean, notice if you wanted to say that, then you probably should say if someone attacks a man just for being a man, that should be in there as well. You should just add, sex and gender to it in general. But then he'll go on to say, well, like what we read right here, I want all women to feel safe in London, whether they are going to work or enjoying the culture and entertainment that London has to offer. It is time for every Londoner to call out sexist and misogynistic attitudes wherever they encounter them, in the workplace, at school, on the streets, or on public transport. So this is different from saying if someone assaults you, and has a motive of hate because you're a woman, then that's a different kind of crime. Here it's about calling out any sort of misogynistic attitudes wherever they are found. And if he's saying that misogyny is illegal, gosh, I don't know. I can't figure out. Either he's very sloppy in the way he's communicating this, or it's just, hey, if you have a negative view of women and that could be proved, then you're committing a crime.
Well, the thing is, it's very funny because Sadiq Khan is a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He should be understanding to properly to properly define these things, and speak more precisely about these things. But you really don't understand what's going on here. He's talking about misogyny, and as a lawyer, he should know not to specifically speak only against about crimes against a specific gender instead of gender in general. He shouldn't be doing that. He should be saying that hate crimes based on gender will also be recognized as hate crimes. Instead, he's just speaking about gender, about women here. Sorry, only about women here. That he wants to stop misogyny. That he wants to stop crimes against women. So what does that involve? And the funny things here are also that he's saying all of this just before International Women's Day, which is tomorrow, which just reeks of pandering, and that is something that people like him and his political party and affiliations frequently do. And he's also counting on being reelected. So.
Yeah,
it's just all very slimy and.
Yeah, I have to say, guys, there are multiple possibilities here. Either this guy doesn't take Islam very seriously, and he's really, so he doesn't realize that him being as anti-misogyny and pro-feminist as he is in conflict with Islam. So that's a possibility. Or he does take his Islam, really seriously. He takes both really seriously, and he has a mental block on noticing the inconsistencies. Or maybe he doesn't take any of this seriously. And he's just protecting his job, and so he's going to say whatever he wants to say in front of a particular audience to help him win. And so he's up for re-election and pandering to women here. But what we really want to get to is. If he did take this seriously and takes his Islam seriously, are there some problems here? Are there some conflicts? Before we do that, let me note a couple super chats real quick. From Paul H. in the super chat, he says, looking forward to the debate. Mentioning Jordan Peterson, is there a topic... You mentioned Jordan Peterson. Maybe he's talking to you here. Yeah. Mentioning Jordan Peterson, is there a topic that you'd like to debate Jordan Peterson on? I guess that's towards both of us, but anything you'd like to debate Jordan Peterson on?
I think I was just very confused by... he was very confusing when it came to the question whether he believes in God or not. He was just trying to avoid that question all the time and doing some word salads about the definition of God. And he was like, "What depends on how you define God?" He was doing this whole weird thing, and I would just like to have a conversation with him about what he actually means.
Yeah. I haven't watched a ton of Jordan Peterson, like when something's popular, like his discussion with Kathy Newman and stuff, and then I watch those things. But I haven't watched a lot of his lectures. But so I think based on my limit, people can correct me here if I'm wrong, but based on the little bit that I've seen, it seems that he tries to understand a lot of things in mainly psychological terms. And so if you were to say, I believe in God, whereas God is playing, a certain psychological role in people's lives and minds and so on, and you ask, do I believe in God? I think it would be kind of a hard question for him to answer, because he's not thinking he's not thinking like a philosopher thinks about it in terms of, what's the ontological status of God? Do I believe that being exists or doesn't exist or something like that? So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it depends on how you define God.
Why are you making fun of it?
I don't know. I find it so funny.
That guy was interesting. I think he's been having some medical troubles recently, but he was for the past couple of years. He's been on an all beef diet.
Oh yeah.
Nothing but beef, water, and salt.
It's something his daughter I think figured out and.
He was always depressed for much of his life. When we say depressed for as a clinical diagnosis, it's not like when we say, I'm feeling depressed, right? Not feeling bad. Yeah. He was asked what it feels like when you're actually like clinically depressed. He said, imagine everyone you're close to dies all at the same time. That's how it feels all day, every day. And even if there's nothing else that's wrong and stuff, and so so his his daughter started recommending he alter his diet. So he started weeding things out of his diet until he was eating nothing but beef. And then his depression went away. So he was like, okay. And so, and so as hard as we can think of, gosh, how hard would it be to live on one food for the rest of your life? Is apparently it's just nothing compared to dealing with the depression. And so he went with it. But yeah, that might have other impacts down the road. And by the way, there's a reason for that. If something in your brain is causing the depression and eating only one food causes some sort of vitamin deficiency or something like that, sort of affects something to where you don't have that problem anymore. It can work like that, but it can also affect the rest of your body. So yeah, I'm not even sure.
There are these two things that people often conflate. They conflate the regular casual meaning that we use and the actual medical meaning. One of them is anxiety. The other is depression. And people frequently say stuff like, "Oh, I have anxiety," or I have depression. I feel depressed." And very often, in most cases, when people say "I have anxiety" or "I am depressed," they don't actually mean the medical meaning. They just say, "Oh, I feel very sad," or "Oh, I'm scared," whatever. That's what they mean. But that's why many people are not even properly aware of what the medical definition of that actually looks like, and it's really not something to take lightly. It's pretty brutal, pretty messed up.
Yeah, apparently it's a lot worse than what most people mean when they say it.
Yeah, I have anxiety, so I know what I'm talking about. By the way, just to clear the misconception, I have a lot of respect for Jordan Peterson. I think. Oh
yeah, I have a ton. Like in terms of people I respect in this world, he's top 20.
I think he has accomplished a lot of stuff. He's very smart. I have a lot of respect for him.
I've seen him in rooms full of people. They're all the entire room trying to shout him down, and he just calmly gives his presentation. And that's the first time I ever clicked on him, because I kept hearing people talk about him, but I clicked on him and what they were talking about, and it's the whole room trying to shout him down, and he's just talking like that, and he doesn't stop, right? Like he has his lecture, and as if he were just speaking to a classroom full of students who are all listening attentively. He just kept speaking and kept going on with his presentation, even though the whole place was just screaming at him. And I was like, who is this guy? And I just kept watching. He's got to stop. He's got to stop now, right? He's got to stop now. And he just kept going and going and going. And I was like, this guy's pretty interesting fellow here.
Yeah. He is. There's obviously a lot that I would disagree with him on stuff that he has said, but he is very respectable. I like making fun of his of his definition and of his accent, but that's just something I do. I respect him.
I think the accent, maybe it's like where he's from in Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, because they always, you got places where they say "hey" at the end of everything, and then they say they say "a boot." They can't say "about." You say it's "about," and they go, "What? A boot? A boot? A boot? A boot?"
A boot.
All right, here you go. A couple super chats, and then we'll get back. We're gonna look at Sadiq Khan's views and why if he's got a problem with misogyny, he should be having a problem with someone else. Much more.
Wait, I have to read this one comment before you go on with the super chats. This one comment when you were reading the article, Isaac Marshall said, "The quality of the article is almost as bad as the quality of Sam Shamoun's videos."
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Sam's live streams are pure garbage. It's like if you gave a training course on how not to do live streams, you'd basically come up with Sam Shamoun's way of doing live streams. I keep thinking that it must be like a parody of someone trying to make trying to make horrible live streams. But I happen to know Sam, unfortunately, and I happen to know he's dead serious. So it's just wild stuff. Anyway, here's a super chat for you. I don't even know how much you've read. No, you must have read quite a bit of the Bible because you do videos on this. But you might want to think about this more, answer at a different time, or not answer at all. But if in case something pops into your head. AP, which of Jesus' parables resonate with you and why? Any parable actually? I
don't think I can ever answer which questions because I cannot list things. I have a disability with listing things, not literally, but pretty much. Yep. So I don't really know what I would say to that. But there were some where I thought, wow, this is pretty good. This is actually very impressive.
I'm trying to think from not necessarily a Christian perspective, but from a general humanity perspective, like the probably the parable of the Good Samaritan.
No.
You didn't like the parable of the Good Samaritan, you sicko?
I just thought it wasn't that. It didn't stand out for me among the parables, I think.
What about the prodigal son?
What was that?
Oh, the prodigal son? That's where this guy had two sons, and one of them said, "I want the younger one said, I want my inheritance now." And so his dad said, "Okay, so you don't want it when I die. You want it now. Go." And then he goes and squanders it on like prostitutes and everything else. And then he ends up having nothing. He lives in a foreign land and stuff. He has nothing, and he ends up as like caring for pigs and stuff like this. And he says, "Gosh, I'd be better as a servant in my dad's house. I'm ashamed, but I'd be better off in my dad's house, even as a servant." And so he goes back to his dad, and he says, "I'm not worthy to be called your son anymore, and please just take me on as a servant and stuff like that." But his dad is like, no, I've got my son back. I've got my son back. And he sees that his son has changed, and then he invites him back and has this big party for him. So anyway.
Yeah. That's funny. That sounds actually very much like a psychology topic, which is very interesting. But I don't know. It sounds impressive. I just don't know. I would have to look into all the parables to say this is the one that I like the most.
Andrew Tam says, free speech attacked under the guise of hate crime, but without free speech, truth is hard to find in the midst of falsehood. E.g., whistleblowers of the coronavirus in China were shut down and harassed by police. Then the virus went global. Now, that's true. Did you hear about that? That there were, when they started having a very narrow outbreak of coronavirus, there were people who wanted to warn everybody so that they could quarantine the place and stuff like that, and the government shut them down so as not to create a panic. Meanwhile,
you mean in China?
Yeah, in China.
That sounds like China.
Yeah. And in the meantime, it's something like 80% of the people who get the coronavirus have mild symptoms that you would just think was like a flu or an ordinary flu or something like that. It doesn't kill you or anything. And you just have mild symptoms. Those are the ones who are out spreading the disease because they don't even realize they have it. And so the people who were trying to warn everyone actually got in trouble with the government. And then, of course, you got the outbreak, and now apparently millions of people are scheduled to die by next year. Yeah,
that's interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
but it sounds very much like China.
Yeah, and then right here at the beginning of Andrew's comment, he says free speech attacked under the guise of hate crime. Yeah, I am concerned, right? Because if you ask me, if someone goes out and punches someone for being a big jerk, that's one thing. If someone says, "Hey, that guy's black, and I'm going to go punch him," it kind of makes sense to me. Okay, that's a different kind of crime, right? You're targeting people specifically because of race, and if you can establish that this person did it because of that, because of the things he said, then it makes sense to me. On the other hand, I do not trust governments when they start labeling things hate speech, because once you start doing that, once you start going down that road, notice, because you see it all the time. You see it all the time, AP. Right? When they're talking about hate speech, they go up to the crowd, and the government, the politician says, "Hey, I'm against hate speech. Are you against hate speech?" And the crowd goes, "Yeah." And they go, "Yeah, I'm against hate speech. All right. That's why we're going to crack down on all these people who criticize Muhammad." Right? And so I don't trust governments to make those kinds of decisions. That's what sucks.
No, it's also, if we're talking about the whole Sadiq Khan issue and misogyny, just putting something into a category and calling it a hate crime it just looks like, even if I want to be fair and if I want to get onto their perspective and look at it from a rather constructive point of view, I just think it's so inefficient to just say, oh, we're going to solve the problem of misogyny by from now on recognizing misogyny as hate crime.
Yeah.
Well, great, wonderful. What has that done now?
Yeah.
So all you're doing now is to say if someone attacks a woman because she is a woman, then that will be recognized as a hate crime, and that's it. But you are not actually doing anything to actively prevent and decrease those hate crimes that people are complaining about. You're not actually going out there and trying to do something about rapes. You're not actually going out there and trying to do anything about Muslim grooming gangs and stuff like that. You're not actually solving the problem. You're not actually educating the populace on how to treat women, on how to prevent, on how to not commit hate crimes, on how to not do these things that you want to label. All you are doing is just labeling it and saying, well, I have at least done something against it now. Now, please vote for me.
Yeah, and I got a question. What about dudes like me who wouldn't hit someone because she's a girl? You know what I mean? Like if a dude came up and hit me on a train, I would probably hit him back in self-defense, right?
Yeah.
If a woman came up and hit me, then I probably wouldn't hit back even in self-defense. I would just put my hands up, try to block her. I wouldn't hit back. I would just think, okay, I outweigh this, woman by 100 pounds. She could probably hit me in my face all day long. It's not going to kill me or anything, right? So I'm just going to kind of defend myself. But notice, isn't it kind of more sexist to say I'm not going to hit this woman? I'm not going to treat this woman like I would treat a man. I'm not going to hit her. I'm not going to hit her back.
Yeah.
Actually, along the lines of what you were just saying, comment from Paul H here. He says, how do you define misogyny in an objective way to actually enforce this? It seems more like a populist PR move with little impact. Yeah. How do you, notice how many people, for real, how many, there are guys who beat women and, husbands who abuse their wives and things like that. How many of them are saying, I'm doing this just because you're a woman and not because, you're a particular woman who angered me and now I'm lashing out at you, or I'm hitting you because I had a really bad day and I'm an abusive dude. How are you going to say, people who, in other words, the hate crime aspect, I don't see, there are people who go around and target Jews just for being Jews, and they make it very clear why they're targeting these people. I'm not aware of too many people saying, I'm going to go attack me, a woman, and I'm releasing my manifesto against women and showing that women need to be crushed and exterminated from the world. I'm not aware of many people who do that. In fact, I'm aware of zero.
Women are replacing us. They need to be whatever. That doesn't work. That doesn't happen. It's weird. I want to talk about Sadiq Khan as an actual as a Muslim. I don't know. It's kind of a complicated topic to talk about. Something we don't often think about, but I have to really think that through and define that. But we call him a Muslim mayor. We call him the first Muslim mayor of London, for example, or the first mayor or whatever. But we are just very loosely using that label. We are just using it because he's a mayor who happens to be a Muslim. And he also says that he is proud to be a Muslim. And but that's very different from think about it from a Western perspective. Many people are Christians, and many people who go into politics and who become mayors are Christians by faith, Christians by identity. They believe in Christianity. They were raised with Christianity. But you wouldn't necessarily call a regular Christian person who becomes a mayor and who wants to impose a specific ideology and leads the country or the city into a specific direction. You wouldn't necessarily call that person a Christian mayor. You just call him a mayor, or a liberal mayor or conservative mayor who happens to be a Christian. We don't make the same distinction with Muslims because Muslims are a minority in the West, and if a Muslim happens to be If a mayor happens to be a Muslim, we just call him a Muslim mayor, regardless of whether he's a religious Muslim or not. Whereas if it was the case with a Christian mayor, we would look at whether he is becoming a mayor for religious purposes or for secular purposes. And if it is for religious purposes, and if he's a religious person, then we would call him a Christian mayor. Otherwise, we would just call him a liberal or conservative mayor. So in that regard, I don't even think that Sadiq Khan is very much a Muslim. He is just a mayor who is a leftist, a social democrat, or is a democratic socialist, who happens to come from a Muslim background or who happens to believe in Islam. I don't even think that he really practices Islam, that he really understands much of Islam, while he's also trying to defend Islam and Muslims and trying to be a responsible Muslim mayor. And I think this is just a thing that this is just a problem, a mistake that we are all making all across the political spectrum by labeling it as that, by being proud of the first Muslim mayor, or by being against the first Muslim mayor, and then completely ignoring the fact that he's actually not really a good Muslim. When he goes out there and when he says things like we have to beat misogyny and I am a feminist and whatever, looking at the facts, he's not a good Muslim, not at all.
But but I've heard that Muhammad was possibly the greatest feminist of all time.
Well, that's different. Muhammad was, in his own right, definitely a very big feminist who liked to marry little children and beat them and also have sex with all of them in one night. And if they refuse, then the angels will condemn them forever. And that's how Muhammad That's how Muhammad is a feminist in 7th century Arab standards.
Speaking of Muhammad, I'm gonna have to read a couple passages here. Let me try and just not respond too much to the super chats, but get through everyone's comments here. Alpha Crew DC says Jesus Christ is the only constant in this life. Brothers in Christ, I am from Germany, and the big church push satanic stuff all over Europe. Be the salt of the earth, like Jesus told us to, and pray. Thank you, Alpha Crew DC. I see more. Were they all here at the end? Let me scroll through here. Just trying. I don't want to build up too many super chats to get to later, because then I can never catch up. Mr. 762, AP, I believe that your view of Christianity was grossly distorted by the lenses of Islam. I pray to take the time and dedication needed to find the truth. I'm praying for you, my brother. Actually, AP can comment, of course, but I have to say, in AP's defense, he studies the Bible a lot more than a lot of Christians I've known over the years, and he one of the things he does a lot in his views is point out where Islam gets the Bible wrong and gets Christianity wrong, and he uses this to show that Muhammad didn't know what he was talking about. So he seems to have a pretty good grasp of the differences between what Christianity teaches and what the Islamic interpretation of Christianity. What do you think? What do you think, AP?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I try my best to really study Christianity and understand Christianity. I have understood a great deal of it. I'm still understanding it. I care about it very much. I think it is just that I don't believe in Christianity. That's why the viewer, Mr. 762, is saying that I have a distorted view of Christianity. But I don't actually have a distorted or a bad view of Christianity. Mm-hmm. I don't say that. I have never said that. I have.
You just don't believe it's true.
I just don't believe in it. That's it. I just don't believe in it. There are things that I don't disagree with in Christianity that are social matters, cultural matters. But if I compare religion, I said this before, and I will still say that I think Christianity is my favorite religion. Maybe I'm saying that because I am from the West, because I've always loved Western culture and the Christian influence on Western culture and Christian attitude in general. And especially if I compare Islam to Christianity, or if I compare other religions to Christianity, I find that Christianity is the religion that is the most productive one in the world, and the one that I agree with the most, especially when it comes to the morals and conducts of Christianity. I like Christianity very much. I do. I seriously do. The thing is, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with Christianity. The reason I don't believe in Christianity, the reason I don't believe in God, is that I don't believe in God. It's different. I mean, people often, people do this thing. People are born into a religion, and then they believe in God because they believe in Christianity. They are raised with Christianity, and that makes them believe in God. I, on the other hand, wouldn't approach it that way. I would approach it. I would first figure out if I believe in God, and then decide whether I believe in the Christian explanation of God. That's what makes sense to me. Since I don't believe in God, since I don't believe in the existence and explanation and the logic of the existence of God, I also don't believe in Christianity. So I don't have a beef with Christianity. It's just about the belief in God, and of course also in some regards with Christianity. But I wouldn't necessarily go into that very much. I wouldn't like to talk about something that I'm not really an expert about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and you, for real, you haven't been doing this all too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you left Islam a while back, and I think you've learned a ton in these areas in a very, very short time. Oh, by the way, I was laughing when you said I think I like Christianity the best because anytime you say anything remotely like that, I get comments from Muslims. Have you seen these? You see, he's been an undercover Christian all along, and this has all been a big stage thing, and it's all a part of the plan. And now he's gonna have some debates, and then he's gonna convert to Christianity, and this is all part of the plan. Have you seen these?
I see them. I see them all the time. They make they comment such stuff on my channel on Twitter, and I just think what are you people thinking?
Yeah, that is exactly right. Right. When people come up with some like weird, outlandish thing, you're telling me how you think. You're not telling me how I think, because if I'm like, whoa, that's not how I think, you're telling me that's how you think, right? Like when someone comes, oh, you're just doing this for money. I'm thinking, I mean, if you know anything about me, I mean, I would go through the streets poor to my death, right, for what I believe. But when you tell me, you must be doing this for money, or you must be doing this for this, you're telling me how you think, because what you're thinking is, if I were doing it, then I would be doing it for this reason, and that's how I think. So here's what's interesting. When Muslims are saying, he's just pretending and he's faking and stuff, you're telling me how you guys think, and you guys are probably the ones who are and they do that, right? I'll see Muslims in the comments section, and they'll say, hey, I'm a devout Christian, but I'm having some concerns about my theology. And I'll click on the person's channel, and it's nonstop. Like he's clearly a Muslim based on the entire history of his channel and the videos he posts and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think that deception is so common in Islam. They just assume that everyone is like that, not realizing that some people have better moral standards. And the fact just is, if someone like AP came along and said, hey, I'm actually an undercover Christian, but I'm going to pretend to be an ex-Muslim who becomes an atheist, so then I can have a big conversion. Christians are going to be like, get out of here with that nonsense. We don't want that kind of, we don't want that lies to support our religion. Whereas apparently if you do that in an Islamic context, it's, what a great idea. Let's do that.
I don't even understand what the point is. I don't even understand why I would pretend to be an atheist.
So you can have this cool story. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a cooler like you have to one up Nabil Qureshi, right? Like Nabil, he left Islam and became a Christian. You have to know, I'm going to leave Islam and then become an atheist, and then become a Christian. And then the next guy, he's going to have to leave Islam, then become an atheist, then become a Mormon, and then become a Christian. You guys are going to have to keep upping each other with your fake stories. This is some funny stuff here. Yeah. All right, we do need to get
plot twist. I'm actually a Jehovah's Witness.
We do need to get back to these sources here, but Jay Shai had a quick question. D. Wood, what is your metaphysical view, specifically with consciousness? Are you an idealist or a dualist? I'm personally an idealist, like Keith Ward and Bernardo Kastrup. Jay Shai, I don't actually have an official position on a lot of those issues. I think in terms of probabilities, right? Like, okay, here's a view that can't account for consciousness. Here's another view that can't account for consciousness. This view could account for consciousness, but it has these problems. This other view could account for consciousness, but it has these problems. And so kind of weighing them like that. Same way I think about, different views of creation, or different views, like Calvinism and Arminianism and things like that. So, don't have a firm position, but, I might one day. All right. Are we ready to actually look at a couple sources? All right, let's go ahead and look at one. So, what did we have from Mayor Sadiq Khan? Go ahead and summarize for us what Mayor Khan's position is, so then we can see how well it aligns with that of his beloved prophet.
Do you want me to summarize?
Yeah, go ahead and summarize it real quick for people who tuned in a little late.
Oh yeah. Well, the Sadiq Khan, who is the Muslim mayor of London, or who is the mayor of London, who happens to be a Muslim, said that he is really, really fed up with how women are treated in society, with crimes against women, and he happens to have said that especially like a few days before the International Women's Day, and also while seeking a tough re-election. But he said that he's fed up with this, and he wants to have misogyny recognized as a hate crime. He wants it to be recognized as a hate crime to attack women for being women. And he said that, and that we need to be very active about this and do something about this and go legally against this.
A little side note right here. Umar Mujahid. These guys crack me up, man. He says, what about Lot sleeping with 2 daughters in Genesis 19:28-38? Umar, you know who Lot is in the Bible?
Oh, God. I have to go into that sometime.
Yeah, we got to make videos on this because the objections are so stupid, right?
I know.
Lot in the Quran is a prophet. So they go and they say, oh, look, Lot's not a prophet in the Bible. Lot's Abraham's nephew. And when Lot and Abraham split, Lot decided to go live in a city that was so corrupt and immoral, they would literally gang rape some travelers who would show up, right? They would literally gather outside and gang rape travelers who showed up. This is where Lot chose to raise his family, right? Then you have God raining down fire on Sodom and Gomorrah and things like that. Lot leaves, and he ends up in a cave with his daughters. They look around. Guess what? They think the entire world has been destroyed. They think God has destroyed the world, and they're what's left, right? His daughters think they need to repopulate the world, right? Because everything's been destroyed. So they know their dad isn't going to do that with them. So they get him drunk and have sex with him. And then they have their children. Those children become 2 of the main enemies of the Jewish tribe. And the takeaway message is, be careful how you raise your family. Be careful how you raise your family, because you're influencing your future generations with the choices you make. Look what Lot did. He decided to go live in one of the most corrupt cities in the entire history of humanity. And look at the impact he ended up creating, generations of enemies of the other descendants of Abraham. That's the takeaway message. You go, it's saying that it's promoting incest. Not saying it promoted incest. The Bible doesn't try to cover up these things. The Bible says all these people, all of them, Abraham, David, they're all sinners in the Bible. In the Bible, these people are human beings. You know who's perfect? God. Human beings, mere human beings, aren't. They do horrible things, right? So in the Bible can say human beings did horrible things. It records them. In Islam, you've got your prophet doing the most horrible things at all, and it justifies all of them, right? So you're sitting there, what about Lot? Answer me something, Omar. Do you believe anyone has ever committed incest? Do you believe anyone has ever committed incest? If someone has committed incest and bad results have come about from it, do you think that should be recorded as a warning to future generations? I do. If you think it's okay and might be a good idea to put that down as a warning for future generations, why do you think God wouldn't record that? Why do you think that wouldn't be recorded? So is this a good objection? No, but in your mind, it's a slam dunk objection. Why? Because you have the reasoning ability of a 12-year-old permanently, even when you're 50. And I can't figure out why. I have my theories, though. All right.
It's funny. The Bible has a lot of narratives about people who do things that are appropriate or that are messed up, and it just
really
tells
messed up
these things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just tells these things. It just tells it as it is. You know, because it happens. The Bible just tells it as it is. The Bible is a collection of vast stories of things that may have happened, and it doesn't say well, go out and take all of these stories as an example and live your life according to this. No, It just records stories. But there comes Islam, there comes Muhammad, who's this ignorant goat herder in the 7th century in this heavily underdeveloped Arabia, which is like a millennium back. compared to surrounding civilizations. And in that civilization, in that savage culture, this guy called Muhammad comes, doesn't understand anything of those stories in the Bible at all, just adopts the names, turns all of them into prophets, claims that prophets are perfect people who need to be taken as examples, and then you end up looking at the Bible, seeing that this guy called Lot slept with his daughters, and then you think, wait. So what does it mean for me? And then you end up believing such a ridiculous comment. I made a I made a video about this called "The Ignorance of Islam and Muslims," about how Islam distorted everything, and how, as a Muslim, you are completely ignorant of the Bible and of everything else. Please go watch that, whoever you are.
And then, for some reason, they stop there and don't even realize, wait a minute, I'm sitting here condemning and mocking the book of Genesis, which my prophet and my God affirmed as the infallible, authoritative word of God and commands Jews to judge by, and I don't even realize the problem here because I am forced to have the reasoning ability of a 12-year-old, because as soon as my reasoning ability rises to the level of a 13-year-old, I would see the problems here.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read Surah 4, verse 34 of the Quran here. Surah 4, verse 34. Now, keep in mind, misogyny, according to Sadiq Khan, Mayor Sadiq Khan, up for re-election, misogyny needs to be called out wherever we find it. Well, he said that. He said that we need to call it out wherever it is found. Well, I found some. I think. Let's go ahead and see. Surah 4, verse 34 of the Quran. Men are in charge of women because Allah has made the one of them to excel the other, and because they spend of their property for the support of women. So men are superior to women because men spend money on women. So good women are obedient, guarding in secret that which Allah has guarded. As for those from whom you fear rebellion, and for real, even more disturbing than the beating part is, as for those from whom you fear rebellion, right? They don't have to actually rebel. It doesn't say as for those who rebel. It's as for those from whom you fear rebellion. Your ability to beat your wife depends on your own feelings. Notice there's no legal justification required. She doesn't have to actually do anything. You simply have to fear it. As for those from whom you fear rebellion, admonish them and banish them to beds apart and scourge them. Let's beat them. Then if they obey you, seek not a way against them. Lo, Allah is ever high, exalted, great. What do you think about this verse, AP?
It is definitely a perfect example of what Sadiq Khan vows to fight against and thinks we should be against. It's definitely
yeah.
It's misogynist.
Now, here's what's interesting. Are you familiar with the Muslim attempts to try to explain this in terms of, tapping her with a toothbrush?
Oh, yeah. It should be something small like this.
Yeah, a little pen, stuff like that. What I wanted to do now, is we're gonna read a Muslim commentary on, and again, I do believe I have the technology to pull this up on the screen. We're gonna go ahead and read the historical background for the revelation of this verse. All right, so here we go. All right. So here's the historical background. Men are in charge of women. Surah 4, verse 34. Said Muqatil, this verse, men are in charge of women, was revealed about Sa'id ibn al-Rabi, who was one of the leaders of the helpers, and his wife Habiba bint Zayd ibn Abi Zuhair, both of whom from the helpers. It happened Saad hit his wife on the face, so he slapped her, because she rebelled against him. Okay, so she rebelled against him, and he hit his wife in the face. And notice we're giving the benefit of the doubt with the slap here. But I believe, I'm trying to think of what source. I think it's Tabari. I think it was a slap because I remember reading. I forget what source it was. It said that the handprint was still on her face when she came to Muhammad. So it happened. Saad hit his wife on the face because she rebelled against him. Then her father went with her to see the Prophet. Allah bless him and give him peace. He said to him, I gave him my daughter in marriage, and he slapped her? Oh yeah, so here you got the slap. The Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, said, let her have retaliation against her husband. Now notice, man, this is awesome, right? You've got a husband who's a known wife beater, right? he hits his wife. Her father and her go to Muhammad, and Muhammad said, no, there's going to be retaliation, which means that either she or her father or brother, I guess, would get to slap the crap out of the husband, right? So they think, okay, they went to the Prophet. The Prophet wants some justice, right? So let's go ahead and keep reading here. So the Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, said, let her have retaliation against her husband. As she was leaving with her father to execute retaliation, so they're about to go slap the crap out of the husband for slapping her. As she was leaving with her father to execute retaliation, the Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, called them and said, come back, Gabriel has come to me. And Allah, exalted is he, revealed this verse, Surah 4, verse 34, which if you fear rebellion from your wife, you can beat her, right? You can beat her into submission. So, reveal this verse. The Messenger of Allah, Allah bless him and give him peace, said, we wanted something while Allah wanted something else. And that which Allah wants is good. Retaliation was then suspended, meaning you can't retaliate against the husband for beating his wife. And you can keep going. Wahidi here records multiple versions of this. It's all the same story. So I'm putting them on the screen right. We're not going to read them all because it would take too long, but I'll put them on the screen in case you want to go back and then pause it and stuff, and you can read it. Or you can just go to Al-Tafsir, Altafsir.com, and you can get the historical background here. All right, so AP, let me tell you. Now this actually happened. Supposedly, right? So, this woman, her husband slaps the crap out of her. Back! Told you not to disobey me. Told you not to mess up my food, right? Slaps the crap out of her. She goes and complains to her dad. Dad, look what he did to me. Look what he did to me. But her and her dad, devout Muslims. What are we going to do? We got the Prophet in town, ladies. We got the Prophet. The Prophet, well, he has the wisdom of the great God Allah. He has the wisdom of the great God Allah. He'll know exactly what to do. We don't want to rush into things. We don't want to rush into things and do something wrong, right? Because you got guys who'll be like, what? You hit my daughter? I'm gonna go smash your face in or kill you or something, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You got the Prophet. He has the wisdom of the great God Allah. So let's go to the Prophet. He'll know what to do. They go to Muhammad. Muhammad says, oh yeah, there's got to be retaliation. There's got to be retaliation. You go hit him back. And like, great, we get justice, and that's the ruling of Muhammad. This dude can't even complain, right? The husband can't even complain. If you say, I don't think you should hit me back. Too bad Muhammad said it. You disagreeing with Muhammad? Because that'll get your head chopped off, right? So he's got to accept the punishment. They're heading out for the retaliation, and then Muhammad gets one of his revelations. And he has to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a revelation from the great God Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he has shown to me that I wanted one thing, but he wanted something else. I said, I wanted one thing, but he wanted something else. And what he wants is good. And he said, if a man wants to beat his wife, he gets to do it. No retaliation. That's from the great God Allah. That's the revelation, ladies and gentlemen. And notice, this was not some guy gently tapping on a woman's shoulder with a toothbrush. This was a guy slapping the crap out of his wife right in her face. Right? That's the behavior that Allah justified. And he says it in Surah 4, verse 34 of the Quran, you get to do that as a husband because you are superior to the woman. You spend your money on her. Her job, since you spend your money on her, her job is to obey you. So if you even fear that she might disobey you, you can smack and beat her until she obeys you. Now,
the wording here is also the verse clearly says that a woman has to be obedient to the husband. The woman has to be obedient to the husband. Listen to what the husband says. Be obedient. Be serve the husband. Mm-hmm. And some translations might say that if you fear rebellion from your wife, then you should advise them and finally beat them. But what the word actually refers to is just ill conduct. So it just if you only fear that your wife might misbehave against you, then you should warn her. And the second time you should separate in bed, and the third time just smack her. It's that's it. If she misbehaves, if a wife misbehaves, that's it.
So, that's so anyway. So AP, if Mayor Sadiq Khan is telling us, inviting us to call out misogyny wherever it's found, to point it out, to draw attention to it, so that we can arrest those who are responsible. You think we found some misogyny here?
I think we have found one directly in the Quran. Alhamdulillah, it's directly in the holy book of Allah, the great God.
And by the way, notice what we did here, ladies and gentlemen, because you Muslims who are watching, and I know you're watching. I see you over there. I see you all over the place.
Of course they do.
I see you all in there. Here's what happens, and we know because we've been through this a trillion times, right? What did we do? We showed you what the Quran said. Then we went to the historical background to show you that what we say it means is actually what it meant in its historical context. What do your leaders do? They say, Muhammad is the greatest benefit to women who's ever lived. And if perchance you should ever stumble upon Surah 4, verse 34, by accident, we know it would have to be by accident because you don't read your Qurans. If you stumbled upon the verse because you heard one of us talking about it, because let's face it, the vast majority of your religion, you're only going to hear about from us. If you were to stumble upon that verse and go and ask your imam about it and say, hey, why does this verse say, as clear as day, that a man can beat his wife until she obeys him? What's your leader going to say? Oh, no. It's not saying beat. No. It refers to taking some dry grass and, tapping her with it to show that, you're displeased with her. Now, by the way, if you even understand the logic of the verse, you should know that's silly, right? Because it gives sort of stages of warnings, right? It says, so if you fear rebellion, then admonish them, so warn them, then banish them to a separate bed, and finally beat them or scourge them, right? So it's giving levels here, right? So it's saying, okay, first you warn them. Hey, woman, I'm warning you. You better get my food right next time. You better not be going out shopping with your friends.
I will beat you up.
You better not. You don't do it. I'm warning you. And then she still does it anyway. And then you say, all right, now I have to escalate. You go sleep in that separate bed over there. You don't sleep beside me. I'm really, really mad at you. And then if she says, I don't care, and does it anyway, then you're going to escalate again. Escalate to what? I'm going to tap her with a toothbrush. I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to tap her with that. Oh, ow. And that's going to teach her a lesson. That's the final stage, woman. And then she's going to obey you, really? After she didn't obey you when you warned her, didn't obey you when you separated your bed from her, now all of a sudden you tap her with a toothbrush and she's going to, now I'm going to obey. Now I'm going to be obedient, right? So the interpretation is completely idiotic, even according to the verse. But that's what your leaders will tell you anyway. Why? Because their goal is not for you to know the truth. Their goal is to hide the truth from you, to keep you from leaving Islam. Right? So notice, we didn't do that. We didn't give you some stupid interpretation. We told you what the interpretation was according to the historical background when this verse was revealed. This verse was revealed in the context of a situation where Muhammad was about to pronounce punishment for the man for beating his wife, and Allah says, no, don't tell them that there should be retaliation against the husband. Allah, declare that the husband has a right to beat his wife into submission, and therefore no retaliation. And Muhammad said, I wanted one thing, Allah wanted something else, and what he wants is good. So what's good? What's good? The husband being able to beat his wife with no retaliation. That's what Muhammad declares is good. That sounds misogynistic to me.
I agree. No, really, seriously, it needs to be said. What David is telling you, especially Muslim listeners, people, Muslims who listen here, or anyone else. should really grasp what's going on here. Of course, we are making comments, we're making remarks here, we're saying what we think about it as it should be, as anyone else can as well. But what we are doing here is not to distort anything or to show you our interpretation. What we're doing here is directly to look at an Islamic source, the most fundamental Islamic sources, and read them. Read the most fundamental Islamic interpretations, the traditionalist view, because that's where historically Islam came from. We take that and present it to you directly, read it to you, and tell you what it says, directly what it says, without any distortion, any interpretation, anything at all. We only make some comments that we are supposed to make here, and see what's happening. There are currently over 1,000 people watching, directly saying that the Quran preaches complete misogyny, that a regular Muslim who lives in the West today would have problems with if they simply looked at the book, which is why they need their scholars, which is why they need their imams to interpret the Quran for them, which is why they need to go to their mosque imams to ask them what the Quran says. Because if they just open the Quran and look at what we are reading here, if they just look at the letters directly, what it says, they would be terrified by it, and they wouldn't know what to say and what to think about it, and then they would either become extremists, like some people choose to become, or they would leave Islam and join me and maybe call themselves Apostate Prophet or Apostate Pants or whatever, and start criticizing Islam and showing the truth to others, just like we do here. So really, this is what's happening here. We are only merely mirroring what Islamic sources say, and what Islamic sources say are terrible.
But you know, AP, we don't want people to think that was the only sources we had.
Oh no, of course
not. I got one more. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, there are a bunch of sources on wife beating in the Muslim sources, about men beating their wives, Umar beating his wife, Muhammad beating Aisha, Abu Bakr beating Aisha. Everyone is beating up Aisha. So everyone's beating up on the women in the Muslim sources. Yeah, no time to go through all of those. I did want to look at one, just because you might think, well, on the one hand, you know, the Muslim leaders, they want to say, oh, you know, it just referred to tapping with a toothbrush. We've already seen, no, in context, the guy was able to slap the crap out of his wife. So we know he was allowed to do that, and that there was to be no retaliation for that. But is that all he was allowed to do according to Islam? No. As it turns out, you could actually beat your wife much more severely than that. So let's go ahead and we're going to read one more passage. This one's from Sahih al-Bukhari. All right, y'all ready? We're going to take a look at Sahih al-Bukhari. If you want to learn a good passage, here's a good one. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari 58:25. Let's go ahead and read this. Narrated Ikramah. Rifa divorced his wife. So this guy named Rifa divorced his wife. And then another guy, Abdurrahman, is marrying her, right? So Rifa divorced his wife, whereupon Abdurrahman married her. Aisha said that the lady came wearing a green veil and complained to Aisha of her husband, and showed her a green spot on her skin caused by beating. So her new husband, Abdurrahman, beat her until she had a green spot on her skin. Right? How big is the spot? You're about to find out. It was the habit of ladies to support each other. Why do the ladies need to support each other when they're protected by Muhammad? Why are the ladies supporting each other when they have Allah and the Quran and the Prophet to promote their equality with men? Huh? Why are the ladies sitting there running around trying to defend each other? Well, we've already seen.
On Muhammad.
Yeah, as we've already seen, the men are beating their wives and slapping the taste out of their mouth, right? And that's perfectly fine with Allah and Muhammad. All right. So it was the habit of the ladies to support each other. So when Allah's messenger came, Aisha said, watch what Aisha says here, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes. If you want to know anything about the status and role of women in Islam, just look at that. Just look at what Aisha said right there. One, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women. Aisha knew pagan women. Aisha knew Jewish women. And Aisha said, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women, the Muslim women. What is Aisha, the mother of the faithful, Muhammad's child bride, who saw Islam implemented from the Prophet himself? What does she say about what she witnessed in Mecca and Medina? She said that Muslim women were treated worse than pagan women and were treated worse than Jewish women. They were treated worse than any women she's ever seen. What do Muslims tell us today? Oh, Muhammad was the greatest feminist who ever lived and the champion of women's rights, and Islam brought equality and all this stuff. Why can't you listen to the mother of the faithful who saw what was happening with her actual own two eyes? Why do you listen to these liars? All right.
Aisha has no idea what she's talking about. The women who suffer the most are the Muslim women in the West who are mistreated through Islamophobia in the West. That's yeah.
Yeah, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's too young.
She has no idea.
She's
dumb.
She's only 9 years old. What could she possibly know? You guys, this religion is sick, man. This is sick stuff. All right, so Aisha, the mother of the faithful. That's her title in Islam, everyone. The mother of the faithful. That's how esteemed she is. Aisha said, I've not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes. Now, obviously, the Prophet who justified with his revelations the beating of women is going to rush to this woman's defense, right? And show his wife Aisha that such wife beating is not allowed in Islam, right? Let's find out. When Abdurrahman heard that his wife had gone to the Prophet, so this guy who beat his wife until her skin turned green, remember, Aisha said her skin is greener than her clothes. This guy who beat his wife until her skin turned green hears that his wife went to Muhammad. Now, you better watch out, lady. What? You got a little too much lip there, right? When Abdurrahman heard that his wife had gone to the Prophet, he came with his two sons from another wife. He came with his two sons. So he had another wife, and he had two sons with her, right? She said, by Allah. So this is what the woman who with the green skin now said. She said, by Allah, I have done no wrong to him, but he is impotent and is as useless to me as this, holding and showing the fringe of her garment. So this is, this part's kind of funny, right? She shows part of her dress and says, he's as useless to me as this, meaning sexually, right?
Yeah.
This guy's not able to perform. He's impotent and he's as useless as like a piece of cloth, right? He can't, in other words, he can't get erect, right? To do anything for her, right? So she says, by Allah, I have done no wrong to him. So in other words, he's going to justify the beating by saying that she's talking trash about him. She's going to justify her position by saying, no, I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. All I've said is the truth. He's impotent and he's useless to me, holding and showing the fringe of her garment. All right, let's see. Abdurrahman said, by Allah, O Allah's messenger, she had told a lie. I am very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rifa. Now notice his version of the story, right? Because that's the one Muhammad believes, right? Her new husband, the guy who's beating her until her skin turns green, he's saying, no, she's just running around talking trash about me because she wants to go back to her old husband. She wants to go back to her old husband, so she's talking trash about me. That's why I beat her until her skin turned green. Now she's coming and crying to you about it? She shouldn't have lied, right? All right. So by Allah, O Allah's messenger, she has told a lie. I am very strong and can satisfy her. Not as strong as you, Mr. Prophet, because you have the sexual strength of 30 men and can have sex with 9 women and girls a night, not counting your sex slaves. That's what a man you are. I'm not that manly, but she has told a lie. I'm very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rifa. Allah's messenger said to her, if that is your intention, this is like epically disturbing here. Allah's messenger said to her, if that is your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rifa unless Abdurrahman has had sexual intercourse with you. Right? So this is messed up, right? No, this is brilliant. This is some. I mean, it's sick stuff, but this is brilliant, right? Notice what, according to Islam, if you divorce a man, then marry another, you can't go back to the former husband and marry him unless you've consummated the marriage with your new husband. You can't go back to your other husband. You can't go back to your other husband until you've consummated the marriage with your new husband, right? But her entire justification for talking trash about him is that her husband is impotent and she can't have sex with him. You see the problem? So Muhammad is saying, hey, you've got this guy. He's beating you until your skin turns green and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't leave him because you can't leave him until you have sex with him. And you're telling us he's impotent. So the only way you could ever be allowed to leave him is if he had sex with you, but then you'd be admitting that you're falsely accusing him. This is some crazy stuff. This is some crazy stuff. Yeah, this is brilliant. It's brilliant, but it's like demonic.
It's insane. I was a religious Muslim when I first found out about this stuff. You know, I was very religious and I was studying Islam. I was trying to find out more about my faith, and I actually came across this in a book that was summarizing Islamic rules, Islamic law and morality, and I came across these rulings, and as I was reading through them, I thought to myself, what the hell? What is going on? You know, what am I reading here? Is this really what my religion is about? Mm-hmm. But I didn't think about it this way. I didn't think, what the heck is this? You know, is this my religion? I didn't think that way. I was just very shocked, and I couldn't properly reconcile those very sick, messed up, disgusting things with my desire to believe in a beautiful religion. So that was just one of those things that I chose to ignore. But dear people, dear everyone, dear friends, this is what Muslims actually believe in. This is what Islam actually is. You know, this is one of the fundamental sources of Islam, and stuff like this is found in typical books about Islamic law. It appears there, and you read this, and a regular Muslim grows up, a regular Muslim who learns about, who chooses to learn about Islam, or who is educated in the laws and morals of Islam, learns these things. To me, it was completely messed up and shocking and weird, because I grew up in the West. I didn't grow up with being exposed to proper Islamic teachings and scripture. I became familiar with it much later, and then I became shocked reading stuff like this. But this is actually fundamentally part of Islamic law, Islamic religion, Islamic tradition. So really, it's weird. It's messed up.
Yeah. So just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, woman leaves one husband, goes to another husband, and he beats her until her skin turns green. Aisha tries to help her out because the women realize the men aren't helping them. They have to sort of help each other. So if anyone can get this woman help, it's Aisha, because she can go directly to Muhammad, who has an open channel to the great God Allah via the angel Gabriel, right? So we can get some wisdom here, right? What does Aisha say? That she hasn't seen any woman suffering as much as Muslim women. Muslim women had it worse than any other women than Aisha had ever encountered. That's not according to us. That's according to Aisha, the mother of the faithful. The woman's skin was greener than her clothes, the green veil she was wearing. All right, so her husband comes along, and so she's pointing out, yep, he's impotent. I haven't done anything wrong. I just told everyone he's impotent, and he beat me for it. Why should he be mad at me? He's the one. I'm the one who should be mad. He's impotent, right? He says, no, I'm not impotent. I'm very strong and can satisfy her. She just wants to go back to her old husband, so she's complaining about me. I'm beating her into submission. Now she probably thinks that you're going to give her justice by calling for divorce and then sending her back to her own husband. Muhammad says, nope, not at all. In fact, she can't go back to her old husband until she has sex with you, and she's running around telling everyone, you're impotent. So that's not going to work. Let's go ahead and finish a little story. So I'll go ahead and read that last part again. If that is your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rifa unless Abdurrahman has had sexual intercourse with you. Then the Prophet saw two boys. Remember, Abdurrahman showed up with two boys from another wife. Then the Prophet saw two boys with Abdurrahman and asked him, are these your sons? On that, Abdurrahman said, yes. The Prophet said, you claim what you claim, i.e. that he is impotent. So he's talking to the wife now. The Prophet said, you claim what you claim, i.e. that he is impotent, but by Allah, these boys resemble him as a crow resembles a crow. So Muhammad calls the woman a liar, saying, you say this guy's impotent, but he's got sons by his other wife. So he's obviously not impotent. He can obviously have sex. And so you're obviously lying about him. His version of the story is correct. You just want to go back to your old husband. You've been lying about this guy, and therefore, end of story. Why? Because he's allowed to beat you for rebelling against him like this. And notice, what did this man do? He beat her until her skin turned green. So you can slap your wife in the face. You can beat her until her skin turns green. That's all found directly in the Muslim sources, directly from Allah and Muhammad. That's what we have here. And look, what does Umar Mujahid say? He said, I'm done here. I'm going to read the Holy Quran, the women chapter. So he's going to read it. He's going to read Surah 4, verse 34. Don't stop there. You know, you want to read Surah 4, verse 3, which talks about, you know, marrying up to 4 wives, unless you're Muhammad, then you get more. 4, verse 24, right? That's where you can take sex captives. And when you read the historical background in the Hadith, you find out that it's captives, even captives who are married. You capture husbands and wives. You take the women back and you can rape them all you want. There's some wild stuff. All right, we should be wrapping up here in a few. AP, what are your thoughts on all this? This is all the sources I wanted to go through.
Yeah, I think you have pretty much summarized it. It's yeah. It just shows to us how Islam in its fundamentals is extremely misogynistic, puts the woman into the position of a second class human, as explained earlier, and also authorizes the regular believer, the regular Muslim man, to be completely harsh and brutal to the woman. Not only that, it also reveals how sick and messed up Islamic law and Islamic morals are in how divorce and marriage works. It is absolutely stupid. You cannot possibly reconcile that with our modern, more reasonable understanding of humanity, of morals, of anything at all. And coming back to Sadiq Khan, I would like Muslims and others to look at the Quran and Islamic morality, Islamic laws, and understand if they think this is okay by Sadiq Khan's definition of what a hate crime is, or what a hate crime against women is. Mm-hmm. Because the Quran is a hate crime altogether. It is a hate crime against not only against people of other religions such as Christians and Jews, when it tells us that Christians and Jews were the worst of creation, not only against all other disbelievers when it tells us that all disbelievers are the worst of creation, not only against slaves and everything that you can possibly find out there, but also very basically against women who are half of our society. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, but this is what Islam is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, this is something I believe. I mean, we've been seeing it a lot. We're going to see it over and over again. We're going to see Muslim politicians in America and Europe calling for all these political regulations, legal changes, and so on, that if they were applied consistently, would completely destroy Islam, right? It would call for the banning of the Quran, or call for imams to be locked up for hate speech and things like that. But they've just come to expect that the rules don't apply to them, right? It's just become part of their belief that, hey, whatever rules I'm calling for, they obviously don't apply to Islam. Why? Because for 14 centuries, the rules have just not applied to Islam.
Yeah.
And the pattern there is, at first, the rules just don't apply to Muhammad. Like with the wives. Ladies and gentlemen, I received a revelation from the great God Allah. Muslims can have up to 4 wives. Unless you're me. You get 4, I get more, right? That's the rule, right? Doesn't apply to him. Right? And then that sort of gets expanded to where everyone else has to follow these rules, but the rules just don't apply to Islam, right? Everyone else has to be tolerant of Islam, but Islam doesn't have to be tolerant of anyone else, right? And so we're just going to see this, and that's when we just have to call it out. Here's a quick question.
That is true.
Here's a quick question, the super chat. David Anderson says, guys, a side issue, but a question I've been pondering for a long time. Is there any historic record of the existence of Aisha, or is it all just Islamic folklore? Thanks. What's your position? Because there are people who are very skeptical of the Muslim sources and who either deny the existence of Muhammad or think that we just can't really know because the sources are too late. I generally favor the overall general Islamic timeline and characters. So I understand that there are some problems in terms of the lateness of the sources and stuff like that, but I usually operate based on what's called the principle of embarrassment. In history, namely, that if people were making something up, they wouldn't make something up that's embarrassing to their case. They would make something up that's positive. And there's so much that was clearly embarrassing to the Muslims who are recording stuff because they keep trying to water it down and justify it. That the only reason I can imagine it being in there is if some of these things actually happen. But notice, when I find in the Muslim sources people recording things like the satanic verses or Muhammad thinking he was demon possessed or Muhammad trying to commit suicide or Muhammad believing that he was a victim of black magic and things like that, Muhammad taking the wife of his own adopted son. When I see these things in the Muslim sources, and if you don't know what we're talking about, just keep watching our videos, right? When I see these things in the Muslim sources, I say, okay, I don't see a lot of good reason for someone to just make up those stories. But here's the thing. If these guys were recording that stuff, even stuff that's embarrassing, oh, maybe I can trust them on some of this other stuff too, right? Not just the embarrassing stuff, but some of the just general historical stuff. Can't trust them completely, like, especially if they start contradicting each other. If they start saying that Muhammad performed miracles and stuff when the Quran says that he couldn't. Then I look at that and I go, okay, maybe I can trust the overall timeline here. And so, yes, I think Aisha was real. We have records. The records are pretty late, but the question is, can we trust, that there was an Aisha, that she existed, that, some of the stories are true? I would say yes. What are your thoughts, AP?
Well, I would say it has been fairly established that Muhammad did definitely exist, and that many of his companions exist. I think we definitely know for sure that the second Caliph Omar existed. That is historically established. We don't know very much about all the other characters before that in Muhammad's time and what happened to them, how they lived. But I think if we look at hadith literature, the reports about Muhammad's life and the lives of the companions of Muhammad and their words and all that stuff, I think it is pretty. It should be assumed that much of it is actually true. That much of it actually reflects how Muhammad actually lived, stuff that he actually said, and the same goes for all the people around him. Of course, there are some problems with details in the life of Muhammad and in the sayings of Muhammad and his people. There are details, and we will never know what really happened in his brief little weird history. But I think we cannot doubt the fact that Muhammad did exist, and that his little wives existed too, Aisha, for example. Especially since Aisha also plays a huge role in the major division, in the major schism between Sunni Islam and Shia Islam. She plays a huge role in that. So Ali and Aisha most probably did exist. Otherwise, it would really make no sense that the whole Shia-Sunni separation happened. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's a very complicated topic that I don't think we have time for. But it's basically that Muhammad's wife Aisha later started a fight with Ali, who was the fourth caliph, and that's like considered one of the big, or the first schisms of Islam, which started the crack of Islam and split Islam in half, which is in two, which is Shia Islam and Sunni Islam. Yeah, and from there we know that Aisha was probably real.
Yeah, it's called the Battle of the Camel, right? Yeah, and so Aisha marched her army out, and the issue was over disagreement in the way the murder of Uthman was handled, and so she didn't think that Ali handled it appropriately. Marched an army out against him, and I think the estimate is that about 10,000 Muslims died, and there were Muslims on both sides of this battle who had fought alongside Muhammad at the Battle of Khaybar, and they were sitting there killing each other. And why were all these Muslims slaughtering each other in the name of Allah, right? I mean, think, you had one army under Aisha, the mother of the faithful. You had another army under Ali, whose title, according to Muhammad, was the commander of the faithful.
It's ridiculous.
So the leaders, the mother of the faithful and the commander of the faithful are marching armies about each other, and they're all slaughtering each other, right? This is why Islam is as violent as a religion can possibly be without immediately destroying itself, right? If Islam were even slightly more violent, it would have annihilated itself right there, right? But it came close, right? The Muslims were all slaughtering each other, but they didn't completely wipe themselves out. If it were any more violent, they would have annihilated themselves right there.
Yep. So I want to respond to this genius in the comment section. There's a Muslim.
Oh, cool.
Muslim said somewhere earlier. Tell that incestuous creature on the right, he means me, probably because my parents were cousins.
Well, no. One, you don't know, because you don't know if this guy can tell his left from his right. So he might mean me. So let's just be clear on that.
So he means me. He said,
okay.
Ask the incestuous creature on the right to recite the tashahhud. The tashahhud is an Islamic prayer that you recite during the day, that you recite during your 5 daily prayers. Mm-hmm. And it's a declaration of faith. But I'm really wondering, like, when Muslims say stuff like this to defend Islam, mm-hmm. and attack ex-Muslims like me and say stuff like, tell him to recite this or recite that. What exactly are they aiming for? What exactly is the point?
You can't do it, and this proves that you are never really an ex-Muslim, and so you're never really a Muslim. And this proves yet again that no one ever really leaves Islam. No one has ever left Islam in the history of humanity, and that's the delusional bubble we want to live in.
Where will we go? Until where will we go? What if I can recite the tashahhud? What will we do next? Do I have to recite something else, and then something else, and then something else? So what happens? What if I can answer this question? What if this person made this huge challenge and said, ask him to recite this tashahhud? And what if I can actually do that? What if I can actually recite that? What happens then?
Then you're a filthy kafir who was never a Muslim, but who memorized it just to deceive people and make them think that you were a Muslim.
Okay, Muslim. Let me demonstrate. I don't know if I've fully memorized it. It's been a long time, but I'll try to do my best. It is التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear Muslim, here you have it. What do you think? Do you think I'm a fake ex-Muslim?
Fake.
Do you think I was never a real Muslim to begin with? What's next? What's next? What do you want next from me? Will you now become an ex-Muslim like me? These people. Oh yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love the religion that produces this. Look at this. Here's another one. This is from Islam is Peace. He's responding to Andrew Martin, asking why he is limited to only 60, a comment every 60 seconds. He said, so only members can send messages unlimited here. Money is all those people need, right? Money equals source of evil. You guys are deceivers. Evil. Apostate Prophet, Act 17 apologetic. Wow, money equals source of evil. Now notice all this was based on, there's a 60-second limit, right, between people posting comments.
Yeah.
But apparently it doesn't apply to channel members, which I just found out in my last live stream. Now notice, I didn't make that rule. I didn't make it a rule that channel members can the time limits don't apply to channel members. YouTube did that. You're sitting there. It's all money. YouTube did that. That's a YouTube rule. I didn't do that. I have no idea how to do that. So notice, wow. Yeah. But gosh, man. If money equals evil.
Money does equal evil.
If money equals evil. Muhammad was taking 1/5 of the booty.
Whoa. What are we hearing here?
I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on.
Earlier when you were showing the text, people probably couldn't read it. They were probably distracted by my dog who was up here.
Yeah, I saw someone, I forget where the comment was, but someone was asking, Yeah, someone was commenting on Muhammad on dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, your dog.
Come here.
Depending on the ruling. Your dog would either have to die, or you could keep it outside as a hunting dog or as a guard dog outside, but not a dog that you like hang out within your house. That would have to die.
Look, this guy here, this guy. You see him? This guy. He's much better than Muhammad.
Hey, I'm gonna call that dog. I'm gonna call that dog AP, but not for Apostate Prophet, for a angel protector. Right? He's protecting you from the angels, protecting you from the angel Gabriel. Because remember, Muslims, an angel will not enter a house in which there's a dog or a picture.
Yeah.
And then, so if you ever want to protect yourself from an angel, you just you get a dog or a picture, and you're totally safe because they won't come near you.
He protects me from angels. He doesn't let those dumb angels into the house. He knows exactly what he's doing. That's what he's here for.
All right, AP. We've been on for two big hours, but yep. Hope everyone learned a lot about the hypocrisy of politicians. And
yep.
And I just want to say, I'm one who I don't have a tremendous problem with a Muslim being a politician. If it's someone I trust, like Nabil. If Nabil, when he was still a Muslim, had become a politician, I'd trust him because I knew him, right? So I don't have a problem with Muslims being politicians and things like that. I do have a problem when they're calling for things and somehow assuming that the rules they are demanding be enforced will never be applied to their own religion and ideology. And so what they are demanding is endless inconsistency and hypocrisy and double standards. And even though that is part of Islam, that disturbs me, right? Because they're kind of smuggling into politics the double standards of Islam, right? Where where the same rules do not apply to different kinds of people based on their religious beliefs, and that's disturbing. All right, final thoughts, AP, before we sign out.
Honestly, when we talk about Muslim politicians, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it is. I don't know. I'm in a weird position to speak about that, but I would say I don't necessarily see a huge problem with a Muslim leftist being a politician in the West, especially if that Muslim leftist introduces policies and ideas that are contrary to Islam and contrary to Muslim Islamic society. Because I believe it could just be, that person could actually change the minds of some Muslims. It could actually set a different standard for Muslims, and that could be something positive. Mm-hmm. And I always say, if something corrupts Islam, then I'm for that, and that is the corruption of Islam. So I'm for the corruption of Islam. But then again, so that's why when people say, "Oh, he's a Muslim and he's the Muslim mayor of London," what are we doing? I don't really see that big of a problem with it. But the fact that we have a politician who is the mayor of London, which is one of the biggest, most important cities of the West, who is a Muslim and who is a proud Muslim, whom we call a Muslim, whom he himself also calls a Muslim, that's kind of a whole discussion that we probably should have, but it goes into a whole different direction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, people should also definitely pay attention to the fact that he's not a good Muslim. If he was a good Muslim, he wouldn't be the mayor, because not even the Muslims themselves would want him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. All right, thanks AP for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching and contributing in the chat and to the discussion. Anything else? Just so again, remind you, if you're not familiar with our upcoming debate, be aware of that. If you are not subscribed to the Apostate Prophet's channel, I believe I put the link in the description box. So remember, once we reach these 2 milestones, which are coming up in a couple weeks, then we're going to have our debate. So if you want to speed those up, you can by subscribing to AP's channel and binge watching our content. All right, everyone. We will catch you next time, and I'm sure we will have some videos coming up soon. All right. Catch y'all later.
Thank you all so much. Stay away from the coronavirus. Stay away from Islam.